Agnes was my grandmother. I knew her mostly as a young child. When she died, I was all of 12 years old, so my recollection of her is mostly from my childhood.
She was not at all, I think, extravagant. You know, she lived in lovely places, but she liked to garden and she liked to sew, and I don't recall her having a fancy car or any of that. So I think the overriding thing was her sense of responsibility and generosity.
She had a place in actually with Delwood on the lake, and we'd go there to play in the beach and things like that when my sister and I were small.
We do have some home movies of grandmother with both myself and my older brother when we were babies.
And I have these two lovely bedspreads that she made, and my father said, oh, there's a lot of Mozart in those bedspreads.
You simply did not interrupt grandmother when she was listening to the Met Opera.
She felt that her family was well taken care of, and that the amount of money that she had amassed through the years could be used for helping other people.
The values she instilled in my father were the ones that then were passed along to us, my brother and myself. And in particular, the notion that you give back to the community that gave so much to us.
Well, the good news is that Agnes didn't give a lot of deep directives. She had one very major directive, which was the money was made in Minnesota and it should stay in Minnesota, so it should be given back to Minnesota organizations and projects. So she was really a futurist in that sense, recognizing that the world would change and the foundation's giving had to change with the world.
Her legacy of charity and giving and caring about those who are in need and at risk is what the foundation is all about.
The Mardag Foundation has been funding in the early childhood space, really focusing on building quality early child care for all kids, specifically low-income kids in Minnesota.
It's one of the only Twin Cities-based foundation that has always had a grant-making interest in Greater Minnesota.
The Mardag Foundation funding really helped us to launch our Parent Aware Pathways initiative. It was critical in our ability to truly reach out to all 7 counties, to offer the trainings throughout our region, to be able to offer additional resources and support for child care providers. It built our connection to providers.
For 8 babies. And our teachers do a great job doing different activities and sensory activities with them.
So I have kids who I've been able to see through the window in our infant room. Now they're over here, including Caden, over here in my toddler room, and then we graduate and transition them up into preschool, and then everywhere I go in the center, I see kids that I know, that, you know, I'm pretty much a rock star. We all are as teachers here. You get your self-esteem built. You come in and it's like, Teacher Nancy, high five. So it's really awesome.
We do have kids that are at risk. We offer scholarships, again, through the state, these early learning scholarships that are available. And that is, a lot of that we're able to get because we are a 4-star rated program. But then we're able to take in kids that don't have to pay anything because we're able to get the scholarships. So we have kids that are in foster care, kids that are, their home lives are, they're just a challenge for them. So because we can offer the scholarships, so we are able to get a lot more of those kind of families too. Because we're open from 6:30 until 5:30, it provides Monday through Friday, we're able to provide a very stable environment for the kids.
By the Mardag Foundation really focusing on older adults, it is having a huge impact in Greater Minnesota.
I think she cared very much for people who had issues with aging, and as she aged herself, she had strokes and numerous things, and I think really didn't enjoy at all being disabled.
My name is Pam Detterman, and I am the Executive Director and the Founding Director of Vine Faith in Action here in Mankato, Minnesota. It's really a pleasure for me to be here to talk about the difference that the Mardag Foundation has made in our organization over the years. The mission of Vine is really closely related to how we help people to age successfully and to enjoy life as much as they can as they progress through the seasons of life.
A few years ago, Vine decided to intentionally reach out to the diverse population. As of today, we have 175 coming from 21 different countries. When the students come to school, at the beginning of the day, they will have tea time and then for socialization, and then they'll come into the classroom and there's warm welcomes, and they are paired up with a learning partner or a tutor. And they have a journal, and they fill out, the journal has been filled out by the coordinator on the topics that are going to be covered that day, and they spend an hour and a half studying English. We had a women's gathering that took place last November in my house, and everyone brought their ethnic food. So I asked each of them if they would share what they were grateful for, what they were thankful for. And there was a Christian Southern Sudanese woman, and she shared that she saw her husband and her son murdered in front of her by rebel troops, and she also had been shot and injured in her legs, and that she was a widow, and she went to a refugee camp, and she was all alone in the refugee camp, and she was all alone in Mankato. And then when she found the Kindred Gathering Adult Day program, she said, now I have friends and now I have a family.
You guys, you are my family, my life.
Yes.
We family right now. If you bring me here too, I'm happy now.
So Mardag has been a significant friend and a partner to us, and I say the word friend because I truly mean it. They are easy to work with, they understand visions, and I think Agnes Ober would be very proud.
The Mardag Foundation has a rich history in supporting and encouraging the arts, in building the capacity of the arts community. Where I think they've had a pretty meaningful impact is really engaging with small arts organizations throughout the state of Minnesota.
The arts-based mission is to create, foster, and preserve affordable housing and spaces for artists and their families.
Students come from all over to take workshops in this space.
I find the light in this place with these windows is perfect.
The Mardag support for the Art Space Hastings River Lofts has been very important because there are a lot of children and families who live here. Part of the Mardag Foundation mission is focused on children and at-risk people and art. And this building has housed people who were formerly homeless. It's housed people who have Section 8 vouchers. It houses artists, and it houses children.
Springboard is an economic and community development organization that's based here in Minnesota, both in the Twin Cities, in the urban area, and in a rural community called Fergus Falls. We do our work locally in those two communities and across the state of Minnesota, and then also share models and tools nationally. We're here today in Springboard's brand new building that we call Springbox on University Avenue in St. Paul, and Mardag, along with St. Paul and Bigelow Foundation, was the very first supporter of the capital campaign here and of this big new project to convert this vacant used car dealership into a real community asset.
The Mardag Foundation was always a significant player in major community development activities in the city of St. Paul.
From the first meeting that we had with Mardag staff, it was clear that they understood what we're trying to accomplish here on Selby. The Rondo Community Land Trust has provided housing for low-income families that they would otherwise not be able to have afforded on their own. That the combination of our grants and loans that we secure allows them to get into a home that is stable, clean, safe, and affordable for them for the long term. We're applying the same principle with the commercial development, that it will be affordable space long term.
The Mardag Foundation grant, through the help of Rondo as well, allows us who are fledgling businesses in the area to be able to support ourselves in coming back to the area in business. There was a time where people avoided the area like the plague, and now they come in droves. Thank you for looking at our area from Dale to Lexington and Rondo Land Trust, and realizing what it is we're trying to do for the community.
At Tubman, in any given year, we serve between 25 and 30,000 people every single year. And that is through a wide variety of services. Sometimes it might be a single call to our crisis line to get some resources. It may be in our safe shelter or our transitional housing programs for youth, adults, and families. It might be our legal services with an order for protection or getting representation on a family law matter, in our community-based youth services, in workshops and support groups, training. One of the things that the Mardag Foundation is really helpful in doing is just lifting up organizations like Tubman.
There is an odd connection, I guess, with Mardag Foundation. Agnes, which was the founder of the Mardag Foundation, is an adoptee. Mardag has been very important to Evolve's success. Their belief in our pioneering and innovative services, their willingness to take the risk with us as an agency and kind of step outside the typical box of what you see in programming has really helped us grow and really helped met the unique needs of our community. Here at Evolve, I see on a daily basis the impact that we have with these kiddos that we've served over the years. Whether they're adults now, or they're currently in our care, or just been adopted, it is so amazing to see this blooming child.
I believe that giving to others has an innate spiritual component. And therefore, when you give of yourself, when you give to others, you are demonstrating a part of you that's spiritual that I think carries on to that next person.
A foundation doesn't have any purpose, or at least a family foundation like ours doesn't have any purpose if we don't have grantees that we can work with to do good in the world. Otherwise, it's just a pot of money that sits there. So I think from a spiritual standpoint, it gives me great joy, it gives me hope in the world, and I have to believe that we will do good things as we continue into the next 50 years.